Bitcoin has seen a very nice bounce back after Blackrock announces that they have bought their own ETF product for their funds. Is the bottom in? Few people believe so. We're going to have that important conversation as Bitcoin is currently trading above $84,000. Are we headed back to 100K sometime in March? We'll talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about AI today and what Near Protocol is doing to get market share in the AI and AI agent space, partnering with the likes of Coinbase, creating an alliance. What is that going to mean for other AI projects, and what does that mean for AI as a whole? We have a few altcoins that Forrest believes are getting ready to run. He's going to share those with you today as it is Forrest Friday. We have a lot to talk about, a lot of important information and to give to you heading into the weekend. So with that being said, let's get started.
Hola! It's your boy, Big Rob, back in the house. Welcome to Sin City Crypto, home of the entertainment-focused cryptocurrency content where we take old, boring, stale information and repackage them up in a fun, fresh, sexy kind of way. Very interesting what happened to Bitcoin last night / this morning. The bottom is in. The local bottom is in. That is my perspective. I have been saying that I don't think we'll ever really trade for very long under 80K. Maybe this is a first test of another price action move. Go down, test under 80, go down again, do it out again. But I don't believe that. I think that what we saw yesterday was essentially the reversal, right? It was putting in the bottom, and 84,000 is where we're at now. And you know what? 90K is right around the corner. And I did say earlier this week, 90K by Friday. A little off, but
I mean, you still got an hour left, my friend. Don't give up on yourself that easy. I mean, you're going to be wrong.
By Friday, there's still a lot more time in the Friday.
Fair enough.
The whole day.
You're probably still going to be wrong, but yeah,
maybe.
Don't give up.
Maybe
just
not.
yet, man.
Maybe
it's
not.
Gonna be okay,
maybe not.
dude.
Maybe
It's
not.
gonna be okay. It's Friday today, which means we got our man Forrest joining us. Forrest, welcome back, brother.
Hey.
Good. You look good on
What's up?
that
Thanks
big
for having me
LED
on.
wall.
Oh, I'm on the big screen.
Big screen for a big
Look at me.
man. Forrest, is the bottom in? Charts aside, you think the bottom is in? Well, what's your feeling? And then we'll get into the charts in a little bit.
It's very likely, but if we get another washout, I'm looking at like 73K is where I would like go all in, like on leverage, like a very, very confident, and 70 to 75K. But the specific level for me is like 73.5. But I'd be just ordering bids. I've been buying since 88. I bought at 88 and then just doubled down at like the 80 or 81 last night. Average price is like 83 right now. So in the money
Good.
on my Bitcoin buys, but I'm super bullish. We could go to 73K, and as long as we hold that, I just remain very, very bullish. I think this is a back test. We'll get into the charts in a little bit, and I think this is like probably the most asymmetric setup we've had in a while. It's pretty polarizing. Like it's kind of make or break. Like if we break and we go lower than 73K and get acceptance down there, then yeah, bull market's over. We're in a bear market, but otherwise, everything's just lining up perfectly, like what we'd want to see for a bull market.
Forrest, is that 73K? Is that your Max Payne scenario?
No, Max Payne is always further down. Max Payne is like 50K.
And Max Payne, you want to throw up, bro.
Max Payne is Michael Saylor having to sell some Bitcoin to cover his.
Honestly, Max Payne is when even the most bullish people start to question, right? And even Michael Saylor might be like, not he won't want to sell, but he might be like, hey, you know what? I remember catching a Max Payne comment from Saylor before, and it's when he was talking about the bear market. He was like, yeah, we expected a pullback, but when it went down to 17,000, he was like, that was a lot lower than we expected, and we just didn't see that happening, and I could feel. That was the Max Payne, even though he had conviction he wasn't selling, but from a narrative and, hey, I kind of got this thing figured out, that's the Max Payne scenario. And I have to agree with you. It is way lower than 70K. I mean, I would probably put it around like 40-something thousand if it got there. I think that pretty much, if we get down to 40,000, the road back to 100K is years, right? Probably, you know, which I guess you could say, hey, that's probably a bear market. Now, I guess anything can happen, but yeah, I mean, Max Payne, I mean, that's when you want to throw up, man. And we've been here, you're you know, questioning the business, question everything.
Trust nothing.
Yeah.
You know, one thing I'm looking at here, Forrest, you know, I'm 50-50 on if the bottom is in. We're seeing kind of a V-shaped recovery here, but the level I have my eye on to feel more confident is 86.5. If we can flip 86.5 into support, take out that high we had, right? Because we've been trending down, making lower highs. We do have that bearish div on the weekly. I know a lot of people have been talking about that, but for me, I'm 50-50 on whether the bottom is in. Either way, I'm going to get excited. If I get a $71,000 Bitcoin, I'm excited because I'm buying. If I don't get a $71,000 Bitcoin and the price goes up, I'm also excited because my portfolio's up. And so for me, I want to see 86.5 and then 91.5 was another key level, 91 and 92K. If we can reclaim those levels and spend any significant amount of time above them, then I'll be more confident saying the bottom is in. But for me, price-wise, I think 71.8 is the level that I have my eye on. I know we're kind of in the same range there for us, but you know, this comes off of news of Bitcoin Magazine posting this. Well, Bloomberg actually reported it. This is just posted by Bitcoin Magazine. BlackRock adds its own Bitcoin ETF to their model portfolio for the first time ever. And so when you wanted to, you know, they say, don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. Not saying that BlackRock's out here telling people to sell their Bitcoin, but you got the company, the largest ETF issuer, right? With the largest fund, they're, for the first time ever at $80,000, have decided to buy some of their ETF for their portfolio. I don't know. Could that be a bottom signal? What do you think? What do you take from that, Robin? Is that a bottom signal to you?
I don't know about bottom signal, but it's just some badass bullish news. You have the largest asset manager ever. I think numbers I saw this morning was this is about somewhere between 10 and 12% of their clients that their high net worth clients. And so 10 to 12% of that group, it's pretty big, man. It's, you know, we know that they are, as far as how much money they manage, comparable to entire nations, in top 5 nations in economy, GDP. And so basically 10 to 12% of those individuals having Bitcoin. How can you not believe we're in a bull market, right? It's just zero. You take news like this, and then you take the obvious news that the U.S. will have a strategic Bitcoin reserve at some point in time. Cynthia Lummis came out yesterday, said that the Bitcoin reserve will go live this year. So if the Bitcoin reserve goes live this year, the United States of America buys 200,000 Bitcoin on top of their 220,000 Bitcoin.
To be fair, the marshals have no idea where that Bitcoin is.
Well, good. And then nobody can sell it. So the thing is, they're going to buy.
That was the funniest shit I've seen. I'm like, can't you like trace it?
They know where they know where it is, but they don't know where the seed phrase is. Supposedly, yeah. This is all loose rumors. 100% loose rumors, has not been verified.
If the government can't even keep their seed phrase, do we have a chance?
I don't believe that one. There's a lot of conspiracy theories. No, it's been loose rumors. It is the Department of Justice has not come out and said we don't know where the seed phrase is. Yeah. We've had reports that they don't know where it is. Could there be something behind it? Could they have lost it? Could they have self-sabotaged and burned the keys on the way out? Well, with the change of administration,
that would actually help us.
Anything is possible. But at the end of the day, you would rather not have the keys than to have the keys. You know, I guess if you're trying to remove supply, right?
Man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
What are you excited about?
I'm just excited. I think the space is going. You know, the space is going places. You're seeing so many things that everyone was kind of bearish on with.
Man, your emotions reversal faster than.
Nah, man, I'm excited, bro. We got Bitcoin down at 80, under 80K. We filled that CME gap for the most part.
You ever had a friend that like he talked mad crap about his girlfriend and then he was like, I'm done with her. And then 3 weeks later, he's like, on a cruise to the Bahamas with her.
That
You're like, what are you doing?
Any
like,
woman that has dated
this
me
man
knows.
This man, even on the phone yesterday, is all like, man, I don't know, man, Bitcoin, woo. On the show, he's just over here talking about how bearish he is on the cycle.
Hold on. Because I believe.
Now you don't.
Because I believe. I was still excited. I was making money shorting the prices. Either way, just because you believe the price is going down in the short term and the trend is down, that doesn't mean you're not excited. It doesn't mean you're not bullish. You're just dumb money over here.
Oh,
anyways.
Okay.
Forrest, now I forgot my question I was going to ask you.
Do you want to go to the Bahamas?
No. Ask any lady I've ever dated. They get one chance. You leave me, you screw me over, you ain't getting a second chance again. That's why my wife hasn't left in 14 years.
It's so romantic, David.
Yeah, thanks. Got to go to Walgreens later. Actually, I upgraded to Target. I tell you.
Oh yeah. You've been buying your lady gifts from Target now, huh?
Yeah.
I feel like you're getting the Target brand.
Listen,
stuff.
my wife is not materialistic, and she's very low maintenance. I love her. Anyways, yesterday's ETF flows slowing down. 275 million. BlackRock came in number 1 at 189. Now, Forrest, we kind of spoke a little bit before we went live. You mentioned Bybit being the reason why Bitcoin's price went down. And this chart kind of goes along with your thesis, right? 70,000 Bitcoin down to 54,000 Bitcoin. Do the math, that's 16,000 BTC that they assumingly sold. Do you think that okay, I guess my question is, did you think we're going to get a retrace and Bybit just added fuel to the fire? Or you think this entire move, this breakdown of the structure of the Bitcoin's chart was because strictly of this selling that you're seeing here?
No, I think there's like 5 or 6 big things happening right now all at once, just creating a pretty perfect storm for taking Bitcoin's price lower. One is Bybit got hacked and they had to borrow ETH, and then they got to buy that ETH back to make sure they're not like naked short ETH. And the most liquid market that they have a ton of money in is Bitcoin. So obviously, I think goes without saying, it's very likely that they sold off some Bitcoin. Now, I think a lot of this reduction on this chart that you're showing is probably just withdrawals, people getting sketched out by having their Bitcoin on Bybit and taking some of their Bitcoin off the exchange. But I do think they've also likely sold some of their reserves to cover that ETH gap. You also have this is the most tax selling that we've seen in Bitcoin in a very long time. What I mean by that is if you recall, the price, everybody was buying and shoving money into the Bitcoin ETFs at this time last year.
Yep.
Well, they have that was exactly a year ago. They have all gotten to the point where they're primarily US buyers. The most volume was done on Coinbase, right? So these are all US buyers that if you hold an asset for over a year, and if you're a US citizen, after 1 year, you go from paying roughly, depending on your net worth and your income for that year, roughly 40% capital gains tax to 15%. So it's a 25% reduction in capital gains. So over the last several months, all these people that bought the ETF are up big, but they haven't been wanting to sell because they're going to have to pay 40% taxes instead of 15%. Well, all these people from last year that bought in February are now just dumping at a profit because they're paying less taxes. So that's another reason. And then also you just have weakness in the stock market that's adding fuel to the fire as well.
Just to kind of, to your point, this right here was between the week of February 5th ending the week of March 11th. And so the people that bought here, right, the person that bought that week at the open is up 73%, right? More than 73%. Because the Bitcoin's price is above 73.4, which is where I drew it to. But that is where a large chunk of the buying happened, as you mentioned, and Bitcoin saw big price appreciation there as well. So I just wanted to get, kind of give some evidence to your point visually for people to see that, what you're saying, it makes sense. And then I know you were getting ready to say something else. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, I mean, just weakness in the stock market, right? NVIDIA beat earnings and then dropped 10%. People are getting kind of sketched out by this idea of the Trump administration trying to bring rates down, and TLT, so the ETF for long-term treasuries, is going up. So money is finally flowing back into bonds on this idea that we're going to get some form of austerity in the government, whether it's through cutting government spending or, you know, closing the deficit in some way or another. There's a little bit of a bid now in the treasury markets that has not been present for quite a while, for like the last 2 years. So you get some faith restored in U.S. Treasuries. People start rotating out of what are pretty overvalued stocks into Treasuries for the first time in a while. So it just kind of sucks more money out of the stock market, sucks some money out of gold, which has done really well recently, and into Treasuries. Well, that creates a stock market correction, which, you know, Bitcoin still, I believe, is far more correlated with the NASDAQ than any. It's basically 3x NASDAQ leverage, right? So when stocks crash, usually that's, you know, Bitcoin's going to crash a little bit too.
Yeah. All right. I want to share this for us. If you want to queue up a Bitcoin chart, I'll go to Rob first and then I'll come to you. So this is an article by newsbtc.com. Bitcoin could crash further to 70K if this happens. And this is Arthur Hayes talking about macroeconomic conditions. Really being the catalyst for another leg down for Bitcoin. We had this come out today. January PCE inflation, which is the Fed's preferred inflation measure, falls to 2.5% in line with the expectation of 2.5%. So also core PCE, same thing, 2.6, expectation 2.6. This marks the first decline in PCE inflation since September 2024. So we're kind of getting some conflicting theories here. Arthur Hayes thinks that the macro conditions are not good. We're starting to see data come out. Inflation looks like it's getting to where the Fed wants it to, which is the target that they're going to start cutting. Rob, what kind of impact do you think macro is going to have on the price of Bitcoin? And if we do get down to 70K, what do you think is going to be a catalyst? Is it something that you think is on the table that if this happens, then we could see a flush, or what do you think?
I mean, big events they're just part of the game, right? And so I can sit here and tell you Bitcoin's not going to go under 80,000, but if there was another Bybit exchange situation, hack, drain, scam, something went under, nothing is stopping the reality that you could go down to 70, 60. I mean, I guess even possibly, 50K. At some point, things become unrealistic, though. We know that Bitcoin's not going to draw down to $100, right? Like that's just one scenario. Like that's just not possible, right? And so, you got to think, what is a realistic number that you could see a pullback? And it becomes far more unlikely the further away you get from $100,000 or from the previous all-time high. And so at some point, it just can't draw down anymore, right? Just as I said, at some point, we're not going to get to $10 Bitcoin. We're not going to get to $100 Bitcoin. We're not going to get to $1,000 Bitcoin. So you got to think, what's a realistic number you can pull back to? And I think it starts to become very difficult to make the case that under 70,000 is something that is legitimate. Now, I think that under 70K is still on the table, but
under 70 or 80?
Under 70. I think it's on the table, but I think it's very unlikely. And I think it's even more unlikely to go even lower than that, like say 60,000. And as I said, I think the max pain scenario is probably around 50. And I think the Forrest also echoed that. Now, that said, I don't really put much behind the Fed hitting target rates. I feel like they're not going to come in and change their stance as far as cutting until you get into overperformance, right? If all of a sudden the expectations is for the CPI number to come in and it comes in at around, say it's supposed to come in at the target 2.5, next thing you know, it's 2.2 or 1.8. When things like that happen, then that's a headline, right? For me, as far as price, I think that that's a scenario where, hey, the Fed was expecting us to come in here, way, way better performance on our CPI. So let's cut interest rates earlier. The economy is shaping up well. So Arthur Hayes, I'm not a big fan of him. I'll be honest with you. I know he was an early investor in Bitcoin. I know he's well respected. He's a CEO of a major blockchain company as well, or crypto company. So, yeah, that's my vibe on where our current price is. But for me, I don't know. But what about you, Forrest? What do you think about the 70K region, us drawing down there. I know we kind of briefly talked about it, but is there anything in the charts that says this was the bottom, or we go further?
Yeah, so all we're seeing right now, so looking at the chart here, this is just a back test for what is otherwise a bullish setup and a bullish trend. And we've seen a lot of these in the past, and I'll go over a couple in the past. Coming out of the bear market, we took out our prior range. Maybe I'll use the highlighter tool. We took out our prior range, came up, back tested it once, back tested it twice, and then it was off to the races. Going into the bear market, we had a trend here, and we had a bearish back test. We failed it not once, not twice, but 3 times, and that catapulted us further into a bear market, going from 47K all the way down to 15. And then going into the 2021 cycle, that we have a very, very similar setup, actually, where you had, a big run, a long consolidation, a push upwards, distribution into double top, head and shoulders, whatever. That's kind of what we just had. And then we're like right here, right? And we could fall through. There's no guarantee that this back test is going to pass and hold like we did back in September of 2020. But if it does, you see what happens after a bullish back test, and you get trend continuation, and usually you get aggressive upside from there, or downside if it's a bearish back test. Same thing over here, 2 bearish back tests, then you had COVID crashed. So all we're seeing right now is a back test with a bullish setup. Now, there's a couple of interesting levels here. The question is what is the clear level to back test, to actually hold? Well, based on our prior structure, you kind of have, and a lot of other things going on, that you kind of have a multitude of levels here that as long as we hold and then get a strong recovery and reclaim this 90K level, it becomes super, super bullish. So initially you had this 82 to 83K region. If I zoom in here, you can kind of see Bitcoin tried to bounce there, and then it just got shoved, it just got panic sold off last night and yesterday. And then it kind of came down to this little pocket I've got in here that aren't super big levels, but then you'd also have a bit of a trend line here that it's, again, back testing. You kind of had this prior resistance flipping into support. And then, the stronger level off of this entire big structure that we had, where we made an all-time high at $73,500. That's my buy or die level. I truly, truly believe I will be longing on leverage with the entire portfolio. I will be very, very heavily buying Bitcoin if we see anywhere between $72,000 and $74,500 Bitcoin. I think this is the level that will be very, very aggressively defended. And of course, if you get some black swan event or something terrible happens, there is the possibility that we could remain bullish and still see a bull market if we drop below that level, down to this 65K region. But that is not likely. And then that just creates a lot of vulnerability in the sense that if we do drop to 65K, we really, really have to see a strong recovery and reclaim before we can say, we remain super bullish. Anywhere above 73, whether the top was in at 70 or the bottom was in at 79 where we hit last night, or we come down to 73, either way, as long as we get a decent recovery and we hold that level, it turns into a bullish back test. I can give examples too of I know Bitcoin, we're talking about Bitcoin here, and I gave a couple examples. Tesla is in a very similar situation, where it's had this downtrend level, it had a gap to fill, it's come down, and it started bouncing off of that gap, but it's trying to do a bullish back test on the back of its prior structure. I'll give you a great example of what happened last time Tesla did a bullish back test and held. It was a terrifying correction from $62 down to 23, a disgusting 60+% drawdown. But it was just a back test. It held and it rocketed back up and then 16x'd. So these bullish back tests, if they hold, you got another one over here that resulted in all-time highs. these back tests, if they hold, they're like very, very scary, very polarizing positions to be a buyer in. But if they hold, the upside is generally just super, super high. So this is why, like, I believe if we hold 73.5 to where we're at right now and higher, my targets are like 170 to 190, even 200K plus in 2025 or even 2026. Like, my targets have been increasing based off of this structure. I think it looks, and the last thing I'll say here is I think it just looks super, super, super similar to the last market cycle setup where we just had a very clean back test and we held it, and then it was off to the races. So yeah, pretty bullish here, to be honest. I will be much more willing to flip bearish if we fail this and then we back test, we get a bearish back test, or we fail 90K. I think there could be some, weeks or maybe a month or two where this takes to shake out. But overall, I think this is a really, really great place to look for opportunities in the market.
Or if there is a time, right, if we do get into that, whatever, I think you said a 3-month time frame for it to shake out, what is your advice to people looking to make money in the markets? Is it anything specific you look to do if we do get these choppy markets, or any insight you can give there?
I mean, yeah, be patient. Like, you don't have to, like, we're kind of just in no man's land right now. Like, if you're bullish, you can be a buyer here, but you could also just set bids at 70, layer bids between 70 and 75, right? You'll probably get a bounce off of that level. I doubt we would slice straight through it. Or if you want to be more patient, you can wait for a reclaim of this 90K level, wait for a reclaim of the range, and then buy from there and look for some quality alts. I'm a big fan of utility over meme coins right now. I do think meme coins are a little oversold and due for some bounces, but I mean, it's no different of a setup than what we actually had last year. If we get a range reclaim, so we deviated the top, deviated the bottom. Now, obviously, we've deviated the bottom. If we get this reclaim, this is much more aggressive and of a sell off than we had last year. This was a pretty tight one. But if we get back up above 90, like, there's going to be a lot of money chasing this, I think, and pushing it. Anytime you deviate a range and then you re-enter it, you oftentimes rotate to the other side of the range. Meaning, if we go above 90, yeah, it feels bad because you like, oh, I missed the opportunity. I missed the bottom. I should have bought at 70, 80, 79, 80. When in reality, like, sure, you missed the bottom if you didn't buy 38, but if you bought the reclaim at 41, like, it went to 73, right? So these range reclaims are super, super strong. So you don't have to make a decision right now. You can just say, hey, I'm going to either buy at 70 to 75, or I'm going to wait for a reclaim and strength to show up in the market, and I'm going to buy the bottom of the range and let it rotate to the top of the range. Usually at minimum, you get a rotation of the other side of the range, but oftentimes these range reclaims off of a move like this is going to lead to further upside. So yeah, I think you can just be patient here and just set a plan and look to be in some more quality altcoins if we start to see Bitcoin run here, because I do think we get alt season if Bitcoin reclaims.
Awesome. Thanks for us. I know a lot of people wondering, like, how do you make money, when the price is chopping sideways? I think it was a good insight. Speaking of making money, I am very excited to announce that in partnership with Hotcoin, tomorrow we're going to be doing a very special live stream at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll be giving away $250 to one person, one of 25 people that get a Hotcoin account with our link. They're going to airdrop you $250 into your wallet, and maybe I will just add to that as well. And so we're super excited. Shout out to Hotcoin. It's going to be an exciting show tomorrow. So make sure to join us again. That'll be on this channel at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so big shout out. I'm excited, man. It's going to be great. Now, Forrest, you mentioned you had your eye on some altcoins. I'm going to throw it over to Rob. Take a look at the markets. What's up? What's down? What's sideways? And I know a few of them you mentioned for us. And if you want to queue up any of those charts, please feel free to do so. But Rob, what are the rest of the markets looking like? I know we kind of looked at Bitcoin.
Right. So what's up today? You got Bearer Chain up 10%. Celestia, but Hedera is top 3 mover on the 24 hours. It's up on the week. we haven't seen much up on the week. There's only a few projects out here that have, that are up for the week. Usually when you see Bitcoin down the way it is, if you see anything up on the 24 hours, usually they're just kind of a rebound because they sold off a lot. But Hedera performing well in the week, performing well in 24 hours, up almost 0.5% on the 1 hour. And so what's going on with Hedera? Well, if you want to know more, we actually got a video coming out.
That's right.
A little later today. So after the show, about a little over an hour from now, you can check out our Hedera video. A lot of juicy stuff. There's ETF coming down the pipeline.
An alliance.
And there's Swift.
Oh yeah.
And Hedera. Alliance. There's a lot of stuff going on. If you've been falling asleep at the wheel of Hedera, this might be your last chance to pick up Hedera at its current price levels. You look at the 1 month here, it was at 30 cents 30 days ago. You look at the 1 year chart, it's performed well. This might be the one pullback you're going to be able to get some exposure to Hedera. So pretty bullish on that. Now, good to see the breakout. Yeah,
I agree with you. Before we move off from Hedera, I know, Forrest, you were actually saying before we went live that the Hedera chart looks like it's getting ready to send. Do you mind maybe sharing what you're seeing on the HBAR chart?
Sure. Let me share my screen here.
Also, if you're a fan of Hedera and you're a member of this channel, put the Hedera emoji.
Real quick, while you pulled that, did have a lot of new people here with the letter J, or just a lot of J's in here today. We had Jesse G, Jesse W, Jason C, Jason F, Jerry. We also got Jim Beam. I'm like, a lot of J's up in here. So also Andrew, Decrypto, and Decrypto. Two different kinds of decryptos. To all of you. Hola! Welcome to Sin City Crypto. And then we also got a super chat going on. It's getting towards the back half of the show. But Forrest, I know you remember the club. We brought it back. Only way we opened up the club is with super chats now, though. We got to pay to play, just like a club here in Vegas. Ain't no free admission up in here. And so, you got cover charge, $20.
The difference with us, we don't care if you're a man or a woman. You typically, like, women get in for free and the men have to pay the cover charge. I like these nightclubs. We're equal. We're equal. Men and women alike. You got to pay. Anyways, Forrest, HBAR.
Nice. Yeah, so HBAR here, down below, up here on top, that's just Palantir. That's a Palantir fractal. Palantir ran from like $10 down at the lows. The range highs were around $20, and then it ran to like 120 or something. Since like correcting now, but one of the biggest runners of the entire year was Palantir, and I think HBAR structure looks very, very similar. In that you had some distribution in Palantir, some distribution in HBAR. You set a range down here, kind of a little bear market-ish range. I'm not going to call that a bear market in 2023 and 2024, but it certainly wasn't moving like some other coins were. Then you had the election, and we ripped through the top of our range. And kind of word of the day, back test. We're back testing the top of this range now. This range is interesting because, we had a wick or whatever, and we could potentially, dip down a little bit further, maybe 13, 14 cents. But so far we're getting strong reactions off the top of this range. And, keep in mind what we saw with Palantir, like it took some weeks of kind of grindy corrective price action. And even if you start back here from the initial markup in price action, this took some time to work out. So you had to be patient holding Palantir and let it kind of grind upwards further and further and further until it eventually broke out very aggressively. But I think HBAR is just a nice, range breakout back test setup. And I don't know if it's going to just full send in the next week or two, but I mean, certainly it could, the way it's kind of been moving. But I wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of, grind out a low here. And then maybe by summertime we could see this thing really ripping into Q3, Q4. But I think it's a good setup here. You're buying support if you're buying if you're buying HBAR here. Looks to like a similar spot to buying Palantir around like $25 to $30, which ended up being a really solid trade. So yeah, HBAR. I'm bullish. I'm long. Full disclosure there, but I'm also long a bunch of stuff right now.
I in my video this morning, I'm not going to kind of give away what I talked about. there's a shift happening in crypto, and I got news on Near and Coinbase and that partnership, but we're seeing some of the top projects start to build alliances, right? You had the DREC Alliance that was announced with founding members such as Cardano, Algorand, Ripple, and Hedera. We're going to, again, share the Near news, but it's interesting to see the direction that these utility projects, right? The projects that have been in the space for a while, projects that actually serve a purpose and a utility. And so it's interesting to see where this thing is going to go. Is there going to be one net beneficiary to this? Is it Hedera? Is it Algorand? Is it Ripple? Or are they all going to benefit, right? Will the tide rise all boats? I'm pretty sure that's the saying, but interesting there. The other one, Forrest, Solana has taken an absolute shellacking, right? It went from $275 down to, I think it got down to like $120. Are you bidding Solana at current prices, or do you think there's a relief rally coming for Sol here?
Yeah, I can share my screen again here. No, the Sol trade was when it was like I've said this, been saying this for a while. The Solana trade was when we were talking about it at below $20 in this big ascending triangle. That was the Sol trade. Right. If you've been in Solana for the last year, you've been doing nothing. You've not been making any money in Solana for the last 350 days. That said, it is similar to Bitcoin in that it does have tax selling that has essentially been occurring, here all the way through March 18th. So that being said, we're almost through the tax selling because we've already dipped below all of this March tax selling. So it's similar to Bitcoin. In that sense, like we're through most of the tax selling, but for me personally to bid Solana, and I say this, like I'm currently long like the worst Solana memes right now, like Popcat and Whiff, just because I think their charts are saying that they're going to bounce. I could see Solana bouncing here for sure. Let's go to the 4-hour, kind of already starting to bounce. You have like CME futures launching for Solana as well. That got announced today. You got really strong 4-hour bullish divergence. So we could see Solana pop back up above 150 or so, maybe up to 170. But this is like a trading chart. I don't like Solana here as just a buy and hold type deal. The problem with Solana is it's the most scammy extractive ecosystem there is with Pump Fund, which has kind of calmed down recently. But I look at Solana at 150, and yes, it's towards the bottom of the range. Yes, I think it can, pop back to the top of the range. But if I want something that's like I feel like I'm getting value for, it's not. I just don't feel like Solana is value at 150 or above 100. Yes, you could have bought it at 130, 140, 150, and like sold the pump up here above 200, but is it something that I think is just going to just outperform the rest of the market? I could be wrong, but I don't see it at this point in time. This looks kind of like, distribution here. And I don't know. I don't want to be I don't love Solana, and I haven't loved Solana for the last year. Was a big Solana fan back in this range. I felt like it was very, very undervalued. It was my primary portfolio position. Ended up doing very well on Solana and Solana ecosystem tokens throughout this range. But as it got up here, it just became much less attractive. And I think it's not the most attractive coin in the market right now. So could it do well if the market does well? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not something that I'm just like dying to load up on.
Fair enough. Forrest, I'm happy you mentioned meme coins. Take a look at this. This came out today. SEC declares meme coins are not securities. What it could mean for crypto investors. They are classified as collectibles, not securities by the SEC, meaning they avoid strict investment regulation. But I want you to know, while it won't be regulated as a security, meme coin fraud and scams will still face legal action. Great. Forrest, let me ask you, Rob. Do you think this is a B12 shot in the butt cheek for meme coins to start rallying again?
A B12 shot in the butt cheek?
There was a bartender.
Just eat right, bro. Stop taking a big.
There's a story behind that. There was a bartender at Postrio, the restaurant I used to work at. And on New Year's Eve, we were going to be really busy. And this dude was walking around offering everyone B12 shots in the ass. So anyways, but go ahead. Yeah. What? There was a story behind it. It's just not a random thing.
Right. So, meme coins, I think they're cooling down.
You don't think this is a
well, here's the thing. Meme coins are cooling down, but I think that's the new launch. Those new, hey, I'm an influencer. We're gonna launch one. I'm a president. We're gonna launch one. Just your random individuals launching one. Perhaps if there is such a thing as a flight to quality on meme coins, if that's actually a thing, I guess you can.
Right on cue, my friend.
Ronaldinho.
He said, hey, guys, there's fake coins coming out. I don't have any official tokens yet. He said, stay tuned, because very soon we have big news. And I know you posted, said, yay. We're so excited to get another celebrity meme coin that they're going to not put up any liquidity for and not lock it. And they're going to sell the tokens. They kept 80%, and they're going to screw retail investors over.
So this
smells like feijoada.
This right here.
Oh, he's your guy, right? From Brazil, bro. Portuguese.
Brazil.
It's not Portuguese.
You're I forgot you're also English as well. You love Great Britain, right?
Cheerio, what? All right.
I'm Portuguese. They speak the same language in Brazil. It's a whole different country.
Portuguese.
Though. All right. So anyways, this crap right here is over. This right here, I think is taking a break. And so perhaps a lot of this money that has been shifted over to the more speculative new meme coins trying to catch a big pump and Solana, that's perhaps that money shifting back over to the memes. We did see a cool off on some of the big boys. I'm still very bullish on Doge. I think the fact that, a lot of the narrative was like, hey, with Elon Musk and the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, we're going to get a big highlight on Doge. We're going to get a spam of the word Doge, and perhaps that would pump the price. But we haven't really seen that, and so I think Doge is a good. It's something I'm looking at. I've been very bullish on Doge. I think it's going to break previous all-time highs, which are about like 70-something cents, and currently Doge is where's it?
2 cents,
22 cents, 20 cents.
20 cents.
Yeah, it's down 15%. I know.
Before you, real quick, Rob, before you move off of, you mentioned pumped off, or Forrest mentioned pumped on farm, talking about Solana. Take a look at this.
Jeez.
This is number of coins that are being bonded on pump.fun, meaning they hit the required amount of liquidity, and that liquidity gets burned and sent to the DEXs or the market maker, right? This at the height was over 1,000 coins per day that were launching and being bonded. This thing has dropped to zero. And so to your guys' point, the markets are saying, yeah, we're not really feeling that anymore. But go ahead. You were gonna kind of talk about Doge. I agree with you. I think Doge at 20 cents.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much of a narrative to expand outside of, hey, Doge has just been through bull market after bull market after bull market, putting in new all-time highs, and I expect that to continue and to see another new all-time high. I don't see any reason not to. For meme coins, it's pretty decentralized, right? I mean, it's not controlled by an organization with a large amount. There's some inflationary aspect to it. It's also still mined with with graphic power or co-mined with Litecoin. And so, I mean, I don't know. I think it kind of checks all the boxes I want. And then also it's a community-driven coin, and it's down. And I don't know. I just think I'm very bullish on Doge. Some other meme coins, I'm not quite too sure. I think perhaps some people just had a bad taste in their mouth for some of the more speculative ones. Maybe some of the other ones that are in the top 100. I know Forrest is a little bit more bullish than I am. I know you mentioned PopCat and some other ones, but I mean, for me, I think I'm a little bit less risk on when it comes to memes. So I'll probably, if I want exposure to memes, I'll probably just stick with Doge myself personally. But
I definitely ain't touching no new ones though.
No, definitely not.
Me personally.
Yeah, I feel like they've been thrown out of the office. Speaking of thrown out of the office, wow. Won't really expand on that, but my God,
You're gonna go there, huh?
X has been taken over with
Dude, I was trying to find info.
Dude,
today.
you can't search.
Yeah.
Everything is about this. And if you missed it, Donald Trump had a heated argument with President Zelensky. JD Vance jumped in there. What an interesting. If you haven't watched this, what a piece of entertainment there. At least, don't know where you would stand on Ukraine, Zelensky, but myself personally, it's worth a watch, man. It's mudslinging and name calling and arguing, and Trump pushed Zelensky. He was like,
He did?
yeah.
Oh yeah, he did. He did. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a hard push. It was more like, yeah, hey, we're both, Trump's like, hey, I'm like 70 and you're.
Calm down. It was weird.
One reporter asked him, "Do you own a suit? Why aren't you wearing a suit?" It was very strange.
Anyways, yeah. So he had thrown him out of the office. There you go.
Doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. Doing is very disrespectful.
So Donald Trump actually, they were supposed to have lunch, press conference. He he didn't even have lunch. Apparently, lunch was waiting for.
Bookmark that video, bro.
He was. I'll just retweet it. There you go. So they were supposed to have lunch and then followed up with a press conference. That all got canceled, and Zelensky abruptly left, quote unquote, got kicked out. So I don't know.
Oh, man. Yeah.
But
thanks for that comedic relief, by the way.
There you go.
Great.
Yeah, you're welcome. So.
What a funny video. Okay. Before we move forward, I want to give a big thank you. Today's show is partly brought to you by Legacy Network and the Legacy Academy app, which has been live. I was looking at their token price yesterday, and I put out a post. The LGCT token, let me find the post here. The LGCT token is up 40% since February 9th. And this is a token that you could be earning for free in the Legacy app. Okay, you can be earning this thing for free in the Legacy app. And so if you haven't downloaded it, go do so. These guys are absolutely amazing. Again, the app is free and you can earn the token. I think it's trading at like $1.50. And so big shout out to Legacy. Thank you so much. I want to talk about this. Let's get into some altcoin news. I'm bullish on Ondo. Rob's bullish on Ondo. Forrest, I'm not sure where you stand on Ondo, if you're bullish on the project longer term. Where do you kind of stand on Ondo as the people watching can kind of see this on their screen here?
Yeah, I'm bullish on Ondo. I'm pretty sure I'm long Ondo at the moment, even though I do think it could maybe come down to like 70, 80 cents. Maybe I'm not long. I thought I was long Ondo.
I'm definitely long Ondo. In my spot bags, just not any trades.
Yeah, I like Ondo. I think they're going to do very well.
Awesome. So one thing I wanted to share, and Rocco, I want to put that thing back up there. So if you guys remember, one of the most outspoken bullish crypto Congress people was Patrick McHenry. He was also the chair of the House
Senate Banking.
No, he was in the House.
Committee.
He was in the House. The House Banking. The same committee, but in the House.
Yeah.
So you're right. So as a policymaker, I focus my work on modernizing financial markets and positioning the U.S. as the global leader in the digital asset innovation. I look forward to continuing that work as part of the team at Ondo. I mean, this is pretty bullish for obvious reasons. What's your kind of takeaway here, Rob, right off the bat? I mean,
I'm just still surprised on where Ondo is on the market cap list outside the top 30. It is the chain of choice when it comes to RWAs by BlackRock. And even a congressman working, a leader in our space, right? A leader of the banking committee, someone that has routinely interviewed or had a question Gary Gensler in the past. And so you have this gentleman, this congressman working for Ondo, and the price on Ondo is up 3% on the 24 hours. And so I'm surprised that it hasn't moved as much as it has. And I don't say that from well, that's disappointing. I'm just like, guys, like this thing will take off it's just, I don't see very much reason it wouldn't. And so the fact that it's still delayed on market performance compared to other projects in similar market cap, I still think this is going to 5 to 10x this bull market. And
don't forget the Ondo chain either.
Yeah, man. I just,
that was announced.
There's so much bullish narrative for Ondo. It's just, I'm just waiting for that big breakout.
We had a super chat from Stan. He said Alex, sorry, but I'm sure he meant Axelar. Said Axelar's technology is operating behind the scenes with big projects. Can its stale price be explained with its market cap, circulation, and total supply? Axelar is an infra play for me, an infrastructure play. I haven't looked at the Axelar chart. I don't know, Forrest, if you want to real quick maybe pull up an Axelar chart and just like do like a 1 minute rundown of what you're seeing price action wise. And then we also had a comment in the chat from the Art of Read. Rob, can Ondo reach top 10?
I mean, yes. I think also I will say this. I expect a big performance from Ondo. However, it's still not a retail community driven project. And I think you kind of got to nail both to be top 10, right? Because look what's in the top 10. It's both that, right? It's both has retail and also has real utility and is being adopted. People are actually using it, right?
Not Dogecoin.
So, oh, well, I mean, people are using Doge. I mean, maybe, okay. Yeah.
There's one exception.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
4 out of 5 dentists.
Yeah. So, I mean, you look at the top 10, you got Bitcoin, ETH, XRP, there's BNB in there, Solana. They all have products, right? With the exception of, I guess, Doge. But Doge, you could argue, probably has one of the biggest communities. So that's kind of the reason it's there. And I think that Ondo, even though I'm hyper bullish on it, it does lack that big retail community. One thing that all of these do have in common is a big retail community, right? Maybe BNB, you could argue, is not so much of a retail community, but I don't know. I feel like the sentiment for BNB and Binance Chain internationally is probably a lot larger than it is here in the US. And that's simply because Binance, their main Binance.com website is not available for US residents. So for that reason, it probably, we probably don't realize how big Binance is. So all of them need retail. They all need big community. However, it's not there for Ondo. Now, I think it does have institution. It has a lot of money. It has connections. So I think top 15 for sure. I think it'd be right outside the top 10. That's just my vibe.
I'm super bullish on Ondo. Forrest, looks like you got a chart up there. If you want to, we can push that through. This is an Ondo chart, correct? Kind of looks like the Polygon chart.
I thought you asked for Axelar.
Oh, Axelar. Sorry, you're right. Axelar, my bad. Yes, Axelar.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is a downtrending asset. So you got to be very careful, like longing anything like that. That being said, it is in this big falling wedge. The only problem here is like this thing's just been bleeding for so long. You could get trapped in just like some side, like let's say Bitcoin snaps back and goes up and everything's kind of running. Like, do you want to get trapped in something that's going to like chop sideways like this for like 2 months and bore you to death before it actually moves? Or do you want to be in something that's like moving aggressively off of their, the local bottoms? The thing with Axelar, I'd say, is like, if you're like fundamentally bullish on this project and this token, like wait for the downtrend to get snapped, right? Instead of trying to pick the bottom here and then getting washed out and chopping sideways for months, however long this was, 90 days, just wait for the downtrend to get snapped. And then look to long. Even if you're paying a slightly higher price, you're paying a lot less, time wise. So that's what I'd like. Instead of trying to like grab the Pico bottom here, maybe look for the downtrend to get snapped off, and then look for this falling wedge to produce a big pump. You could also get to the top of this resistance level and fail, and then move back down to the bottom here. So that's also a key level to look out for. But nothing standing out to me here quite yet. But if you want to toss it on your watch list, just look for the downtrend to get snapped, and you'll probably be all right.
Awesome. You know what that chart looks like? It looks like the Polygon chart. And I shared this on my show yesterday. Like almost identical, right? Where you kind of have this falling wedge pattern, and then you have a bunch of like mini falling wedges. And the play here has been to kind of long the flip, right? When this thing flips to enter long. So that's more on the trading side. But, you know, I'll just echo what Forrest said. If you're bullish on it from a fundamental standpoint and what it does utility-wise, then you want to wait for these moves back down to the lower end of that trend line. That would be my thing.
Yeah, but from a Polygon, like, I don't know, man. I've kind of mailed it on Polygon. I know you weren't I know you weren't making a case for Polygon, and I know you're just kind of showing that as a comparable chart.
I'm a little torn on Polygon, man. I'm a little torn, and I kind of shared it on the stream yesterday.
Well, why did Polygon do so well before? Right? Well, true. Now, from like, if we're gonna sit here and like really think about it, like, why? Well, it was a scalable ETH solution. ETH had high gas. Yeah, that's the things that everyone says. But why did it realistically pump? Big ass partnerships, right? It was just one after another. You had Nike, Starbucks. I mean, the list was like it was like 40 or 50 different big, major, you know, lots of Fortune 500 companies were in there, and the partnerships were the big headlines. And everyone's like, look, everyone is over here on this. Like, why don't I have exposure to it? What's the last big headline you've heard with major companies using Polygon? Those have dried up. That big headline news is not a thing anymore. And so it was retail driven, right? And retail got excited about these big partnerships, and they're not seeing it anymore. And so you're not seeing the big headlines. And then also, you talk about what you said. Now there's competition, right? You want to talk about scalable ETH solutions. The first thing that pops in your head is not Polygon anymore. If I were to say, hey, who's the leading scalable ETH solution? And then even on top of that, Polygon in itself wasn't even a scalable ETH solution. It was a side chain that leveraged a security that was written in the same code that easily ported dApps from one to the other. So in actuality, you could say it wasn't even an ETH scaling solution. It did nothing for ETH. It was just an alternative to ETH, a user-friendly alternative to ETH. ETH liked it being there because it took a little bit of strain off the network. Because if you wanted to participate in ETH and do something pretty basic, you could do the same thing on Polygon. However, there was really no cross communication from ETH to Polygon as far as alleviating the network transactions on ETH, right? It didn't do anything for ETH's base chain. It was just another option. Now you have real scalable solutions that are on ETH that are not a side chain. So pretty big. Also, we got 2 gifted memberships here from Crypto Pitbull, Rob Dog. So we appreciate the gifted memberships, man.
I made him a mod too. Been around for a while.
There you go.
It's about time. Gentlemen, I think that's all we got for today, man. Any parting words heading into the weekend? Forrest?
Just survive. I mean, I think be willing to flip bearish if the market really falls through and we get, like sub 70K and like we start holding down there and trading in the 50 and 60s for any elevated or for any like extended period of time. That's where you start to get red flags. That's kind of like last market cycle when we dropped down into the 30s and 40s for a while. It chopped around for a couple months and then kind of gave out and went lower. I just don't see anything that says cycle top is in. Like last cycle, we had Celsius and BlockFi and Voyager and FTX and Terra Luna, just like all this contagion going on. Yeah, we've had a lot of meme coin scams and extraction, but there's no like at this point, nothing that's like screaming contagion. Apart from maybe Bybit having to sell off some Bitcoin, which seems to be over. So I'm bullish until proven otherwise. But yeah, I think if you can just survive the next couple of weeks, we'll probably have some upside ahead of us.
Yeah, for me it's this right here, 86.5. We want to reclaim 86.5 because if we don't, you've put in another lower high, and so nothing really structurally has changed on the chart, but. I'll definitely look more into that tomorrow during the morning live show. Rob, anything before we?
That's it.
That's it. Rocco, what about you, my friend? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I like the Zelensky and Donald Trump. It was fun.
It was fun. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, what if you guys haven't watched that exchange, go check it out. It's all over X.
Yeah. Also, one last thank you, Cam's Blue Wire Technology, for partly sponsoring today's show. If you want to learn how they can help your business scale and grow, especially in the field of networking and cybersecurity, they are the company to go with. Visit BlueWireTech.com. And thank you to all of you. Come join me tomorrow for the special 1 p.m. Eastern Time live show. We'll be giving away $250, potentially more. Got to talk with the business partners here. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited. And so big thank you to everyone watching. Have an amazing weekend. And Rocco, this week might have been rough, but guys, we're probably out of the rough patch. I think the beginning of March is going to be very, very exciting, and we're going to be here to share that exciting news with you. So come back on Monday. We'll see you then.
Everybody know we here for entertainment and info. Gonna show you how to get that big dough. So every day stay tapped in for big facts, no capping. With Bitcoin, if you're in, then you win. We divide the pie with no fraction. It's Big Rob, David. I spit the game, but they gave it. Named according to your favorite. I got dry powder, why save it? To the OGs, new beginners. Special shout out to the well members. Buy the dip, sell winners. Ain't really nothing you can tell sinners. Tune in for the latest new flavors. They gonna teach us mean coins. They polarizing like barbecue chicken pizzas. I laugh with a major grin. Laggers, we trade them in. Baddies, they came to sin. And sinners gon' play to win. Screaming, hola, till my bags are flowing over. Hold ya to the moon and to the solar. Won't don't be letting FOMO control ya. It's over when the finger tornado close ya.